Hello and welcome to the Stellar Life Show. It's an amazing day today, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm sure you're also grateful to God for the gift of life, and it's so good to be here. Last week we had an amazing class. We spoke about ahead of AI, and we thought that it was important for us to have that conversation because of the scare that AI has been causing. And I believe that it was an insightful one. We spoke about six skills that would be required for the future of work. And I do hope that you got value. If you're just joining us for the first time and you're watching this for the first time ever, you're welcome. You can look at our other content. And, don't forget to share, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe and tell a friend about it. Okay, so today we're going to be speaking about Great Mountain. And this is a topic that is very dear to me. It's something that I'm also currently still working on because, as we grow, as we transition or pivot in our careers, we find new things, we find out new things about ourselves. And there's a need for us to also make adjustments and changes. So today we're speaking on G.0.A.T Mountain, and this class was inspired by the life and times of Kobe Bryant, one of the football legends, one of the greatest that ever lived, who died tragically in a crash. And so, I was just reflecting on his life over the week, and I just thought there's a lesson to learn from him, and there's so much to share that the world doesn't even know, that we can also learn from and, become better persons and professionals at what we do. So I want to welcome you once again to G.0.A.T Mountain. Um, we'll be guided by this outline. Some people might not be sure what the G.0.A.T Mountain is. And then the next is sphere of influence, or as I would prefer to put it, mountains, seven mountains, these seven mountains from a book that we'll be looking at. Then we'll learn about our muse, and that's Kobe Bryant. We'll learn about this G.0.A.T Mountain because she's the only one that I heard this name from, and I think that is important that we really understand where it's coming from and how we can make the most to create our own good mountain. They also talk about the things that inspired his journey, such as his self-awareness. So many things people said about him. He broke records, and he also made transition because, like, we'll get to know Kobe Bryant was a sports person, and we know that if you are into sports, there's a level, there is a face thing where you'll be there for a while, but you can't be there forever. You always have to transition. So we get to know what we transition into. I'll be sharing that with us. And you're wondering goats. What is goat? Greek goat as in the animal, or what exactly does goat means? Anyway, you can see it on your screen. This is what goat stands for. Greatest of all time. So for non-sport enthusiasts who listen to this, when somebody says, "Oh, you're a goat," or "you're goated," they're not calling you the animal. They're just telling you that you're really great at what you do, and they see you as one who has gotten to the peak of their career or whatever space you're playing. You're playing in. Welcome, Henry Afabor. Please, can you kindly mute your mic? Thank you very much. Welcome to class. Okay, so GOAT stands for the greatest of all time. So if you are like me, who wants to get to the top of their career, who wants to be one of the best, you know, I think that's safe to invite you to GOAT Mountain, right? So let's get into it. And I hope that if you have any questions, please you can share in the chat box. I would respond accordingly. So it's so good to have you again join us this evening for GOAT Mountain. So GOAT stands for the greatest of all times. I'm sure we've heard it. If you like football or you listen to football commentary like me, you've heard people argue who is the best, Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, who is the GOAT. Some people say Messi is my GOAT, some people say Cristiano Ronaldo is my GOAT, whichever. Let's really get into that. Know what really makes a GOAT. And that's why we're choosing someone who's lived life and who's left, who has translated to the other side and see what we can learn from him. So we spoke about in the outline the seven mountains, and these are the seven mountains that we can claim. So wherever you are right now, you will definitely fall under one of these. quadrants, right? So you're either into business, and you know business is Hydra, like it's multi-dimensional. So you can say, oh, I can't see technology there. Everything will be business. You see, there can be technology in the business, agriculture, whatever sector. Business covers a wide range of sectors. Some of us might be in the arts and entertainment. Some of us might be in the media space. I know there's traditional media, there's digital media. As times are changing, new things are also coming up. They also have the government. Some people are into politics, some people are civil servants, some people work in the public sector, all of these are important for us to know. Some people are working in the family sector, maybe schooling, children, all of that, education as well, and religion. Now, all of these spheres are important. No sphere is more important than the other. We need each and every one of these compartments to work together effectively for us to be, to have a great society. But let's not stay long here. The only reason why I brought this up was for you to, identify where you play in, just so that you know where you are at, right? So like we mentioned, our muse is Kobe Bryant. He plays for the Lakers. That's his jersey, and this is him, when he dunks the ball or when he gives the point that is, so fantastic when he wins the game and all of that. Now, I think that this is a feeling that each and every one of us should strive or look forward to having in our career. So you might not be a footballer where you win the Ballon d'Or, where you win the best player or MVP. But in our different careers, we can get the employee of the month, best employee, best supporting employee, most functional employee, best teammate, best team lead, best manager, whatever it is. For those who studying our news here who has been an amazing sport legend, Kobe Bryant. So one thing that has worked a lot for Kobe Bryant is that he's very self-aware. Now, from the age of 13, he had known what he wanted to achieve. Like he knew where he wanted to be at time. He was fortunate to have also met another basketball legend, Michael Jordan, in his teens of 16, 17. He was fortunate to have met Michael Jordan. And that alone, was very impactful for him. There's some people that when you meet them, their life and times inspires you. So you know that their life and time inspires you. So you know that I cannot be ordinary, right? Some people, we see them from afar and we think, oh, this is far reaching. I can't be like this person. But, an encounter, seeing them physically, there's something that it does to you. And so at age 13, he knew that he wanted to do pro basketball. And, when you know something very early, it helps you to focus and it helps you to go far. Listening to a lot of mentors and people who have gone ahead, one of the things that you've spoken about is the blessedness of starting early. Because when you start early, you are able to know what your weaknesses are, you're able to course correct, you're able to make improvements. And then you've gotten mileage. So you tell somebody, oh, I'm 40 years old, but I have been doing this for the past 27 years of my life. And the person is wondering how. That is the blessing of starting early. So people don't even get to see your mistakes when you make your mistakes, right? And then you have a lot of experiences, a wealth of knowledge that you can share with other people. So, like I mentioned, at age 13, since he knew where he was headed for, it means that he was highly self-aware. He had a self-awareness where he did a SWOT analysis for himself, right? And this is one thing that we've always spoken about. If you joined or you missed our class called boarding, talking about identifying, discovering, deploying your potential, then you know that self-awareness is key. And one of the ways you can become self-aware is by carrying out a SWOT analysis for yourself. Now, Kobe Bryant knew that he wanted to go pro. He knew that he wanted to be the best. So he knew what he wanted and he was willing to go all out. Now, identifying this, I would like to ask us, are you ready to go all out for what you're currently doing? So if what you're currently doing is something that you're not willing to go all out for, why not just make the shift? Why not pivot to exactly what you would like to do? Now, he knew what he wanted. He knew he wanted to play pro basketball. And then he also identified people that had gone ahead of him. He understood them, he studied them, their game, how they played, and he molded himself after them. He saw what made legends. Now, before him, there's several basketball goats, basketball legends, and he just told himself, if I want to be a GOAT, if I want to be like this, because I want my name to be mentioned, then I also have to do what these people have done and even surpass them because times are changing. You know, you say somebody is the best, maybe because the person has 56 goals. But you know that if you want to become the next champion, you need to break that record, right? So self-awareness became key for him. And so what you can see is a table that shows the stats for a basketball player. Now, if you want to be a great basketball player, you need to have verticals of 45 to 46. And what will verticals do for you? Verticals will aid you when you want to jump. So verticals, like this is vertical. Like how tall are you? We all know that basketball is a game of height. Like you barely really see a short person playing basketball. There's a height that you need to have for you to be in the game, right? And then the ideal verticals for people who are legends are 45 and 46. And he identified that, and he saw that he was limited in this case. He had a vertical of 40. So he needed to know if I have a vertical of 40, it means I cannot jump as high as a player with 45 to 46 verticals. So what does he do? He decides to start finding out, okay, so what angles can I stand from? How should I throw my ball? How should I shoot? What are the best positions for me on the pitch? He needed to understand that. The ideal requirement also says that your hand needs to be massive, right? But he knew that he had big hands. So he needed to know how to really keep the ball within his arms because one thing you know about basketball is you always have to, move with the ball, bounce the ball, move the ball over. And I don't know if some of us are familiar with the basketball, how really big it is and how your hand, sometimes you can't use two hands, sometimes you need just one. Your hands really have to be massive. If you're seeing basketball players, their hands are really massive, right? So he knew that he had big hands. So he needed to master the ball and know how to hold it very well. So I don't know what it is in your career or in your mountain that you need to master, but it's very important that you don't take it for levity. And, I saw a quote somewhere where it says that things might not matter in the hands of certain people, but it becomes very important in the hands of others. A basketball with me means nothing, but a basketball in the hands of a Kobe Bryant, a LeBron James, a Steph Curry, a Michael Jordan is such a big deal. It's beyond basketball. This is the real game. He also knew that he had to get speed because you have to run, right? You need a lot of speed, so it means you need to be fast. But if you want to be the best, you cannot just be fast because fast is normal, fast is average. If you were not fast, you wouldn't even be shortlisted to be in a team, right? You have to be ridiculously fast. And because you have to be fast, it means that your legs need to be strong, right? That was a mistake. It's meant to be a switch, right? He needed stronger legs, not just strong legs. He really needed stronger legs. And then also the ideal requirement is it was even through his life and times that I knew that for basketball, the games, the season, sorry, a season has 82 games. So if you know you want to play in all games, you need to have a certain weight. But if you want to play for 82 games at stretch, not missing one game, then you need to go the extra mile. It means that your diet has to be very strict. Your exercise or your regime has to be super crazy. Now, my question here is, in that field or mountain where you found yourself, what is that extraordinary thing that you need to do to be the best? That's even if you have identified the best, because some of us work in industries where we don't even know the best. If I say mention maybe the top five in your industry or in your career, can you really mention them? And if you always say, oh, I want to be the best, how they say it, I want to be the 1% of the 1%. Do you think you have developed yourself to really be that 1% of the 1%? If no, I mean, I think this is a good time. This is still January, right? You can still set goals. You can still tweak your career goals or whatever personal development goals that you have set for yourself. Um, the next thing is an ideal requirement is longer shots in line. Now, what are longer shots in line? This is when you're throwing the ball, right? So he had shots in line. But shots in line are just not enough. You need longer shots. Some people can throw the ball, but they cannot throw it far, right? And then you need to pass to maybe another of your teammates who is, on the other side. And if you throw a short pass, it means that it's going to land with your opponent. So you need to know how to throw longer shots. And beyond being quick, you have to be insanely quick. Because if you look at basketball, it's such a fast game where the ball is moving everywhere. And sometimes me, the viewer, I'm wondering, my eyes is just going everywhere, like, where's the ball? Where's the ball? Where's the ball? So imagine me being in the field of play. You have to be very quick, very agile. So he understood all of these things and he understood it as early as 13, right? And this is blessedness again of starting early because imagine one knowing this is what I want to do. And from age 13, you've identified your limitations and you begin to work on it. You begin to find, how can I make up for this? And you know how practice makes perfection. If you do something over and over and over and over again, you become a better person. Now, this is what has worked for Kobe Bryant. Now, for someone like me, I'm not even 13, right? But there are some of these things that I still find very ideal and important right now. So whatever your age, there's really never a late time. The best time to start is now. So after class today, you can try to sit back and say, what are my limitations? How can I improve in my chosen field of work? How can I be better? Right. And as you do this, you see that you become the 1% of the 1% in your field, except that is not a goal for you. Then you can decide to, just stay. Right. So SWOT analysis, which is self-awareness, is very key. Now, having understood all of that, there's something they call scouting, right? So if you're going to be in the professional basketball, which is the NBA, there's something called scouting because you'd have been playing for your high school or for your states, as it is in America, the states, right? And then there's usually a report that is written about you. You might not be able to read this because it might be looking tiny, but this is a scouting report for Kobe Bryant. Um, sorry about that. Kobe Bryant, right? This is his scouting report where, the scout is talking about him. So there's usually a scout, which is like an agent or like a manager or like an A&R, depending on the name that you want to put it in your industry, more like a recruiter, the HR, after going through an interview or when the HR has observed you for a while during your probation period and they have to write a report about you and, this is what they have to say about him. And, if you look at all of this, you would see the part where it talks about his weaknesses. He said, oh, he's 17, close to 18, which is huge. But as his dad says, he's 17 going on 25. Now, this is because of an understanding and a knowing that he has. If you know you're going to be in something for a long haul, there's a disposition and an attitude that you carry into it, right? So it further says he has questionable ball handling skills to be a projected point guard. He may not be ready for the rigors of the NBA life and does not have the body for it right now. Now we can see that if you look at kindly mute your mic, please. Kindly mute your mic. Thank you. Now, if you look at that scouting report, it says he doesn't have the body for it. But if you look at the previous slide where we spoke about his limitations, Kobe already knew that he needed to have the right weight for 82 games. So what this person is saying is not new to him because he already knows himself. So there are sometimes when maybe your manager or your colleague will come to give you a feedback that looks like, oh, you're not really good at this, you should improve. You shouldn't be sad because if you had really done your SWOT analysis, you'd have identified that part for yourself. And the person is just bringing it more to your attention. And you're like, okay, I really need to work on this. Or it will not be new to you because some people are not open to taking corrections or criticisms, constructive criticism. They see it as, oh, they don't like me. They're speaking ill against me. But really, what is the job of a scout? A scout is to make sure and ensure that the right person for the job is gotten. So if you've done a SWOT analysis of yourself, when somebody comes to tell you, oh, you're not a fantastic writer, you already know. And that's why you're trying to write every day on LinkedIn, or you're trying to write a story, or you're trying to build a blog, because you know that over time, with consistency, you'll be better at that. So we can see it there. It also says that he does not have a true position, right? And I spoke about this where I mentioned that his verticals were 40, and the ideal vertical for a goat is 45 to 46. And he's Kobe, in sharing his life story, said because he had verticals of 40, he needed to find his position, the best position suited for him on the basketball court. So all of this that this scout is saying is not new, and it's not news to him. It's not coming as a criticism or all of that. He has the right attitude to receiving all of this feedback because he knows that I know all of this and I'm trying to find myself, right? And we can see that he started early in this feedback form at 17, right? Thank you so much, everyone, by joining. But please endeavor to mute your mic to avoid disrupting the class. Thank you. Thank you again. So we see this comment here, and it's not a comment that should make you feel bad. So anytime you see maybe your appraisal and someone points out something and says that, oh, I think that this person is not good at this, do a SWOT analysis of yourself to confirm, is it true, or is this person just hating? Don't just assume, oh, they don't like me or they just hate me and all of that. No, I don't think that it's a very, very good comment to say, right? You should always be open to, becoming better. So this is Kobe Bryant's scouting report. It didn't look fantastic. It didn't look great. I'm sure at that time, if we look at it, be like, well, this person cannot really, really make it, right? So don't let your present state be your final state. Let people talk, but you know what? As long as you're looking forward to consistently improving, then you become a better person at what you do. So these are the people that he admires, Kobe Bryant. And beyond admiration, he studied all of them. Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, and Oscar Robertson. Now, these are 7 GOATs that he decided to study. So if you're a basketball enthusiast or you're not familiar with basketball, you can go online to, to say who have been the best people in the world of basketball. And these are the names that will come up. Now, this is somebody who is intentional about becoming number 8, right? And because he really did make number 8. So that's why I'm asking, do you even know the top 5 people in your sphere, on your mountain, people that you really want to model your game after, right? So he was fortunate to play with Michael Jordan, who he met earlier that inspired him, right? So he studied Bill Russell. What is his game like? So he asked himself certain questions. So one thing about Kobe Bryant was he had questions he asked these people. What he did was he visited this G.0.A.T Mountain. So beyond just writing a list of these 7 people that he wanted to be better than, he went to visit them. He had a meeting, a sit-down conversation with each and every one of them to know, how did you become the best? What made you the best? And therefore, he was able to say, okay, so how can I improve? How can I be better than them? And some of the questions that he asked them was, what was your obsession? How did you approach the game? What was your experience like? What level of detail did you pay attention to in every of your game? Or before your game started, what was your mental state like? Like he just wanted to know because he wanted to be the best. He didn't want to be like anyone. He didn't want to be like Bill Russell or Jerry West. He wanted to be Kobe Bryant. He wanted to make a name for himself. So I don't know that place where you have found yourself, if you really, really want to be the best, or if you just want to be like any other person, if you want to be average, if you want to be normal, or you want to be extraordinary. Now that's for you to decide. And because of this, he was able to have a mentor and sort of a sponsor, right? And this shows that in your career, business, whatever it is that you do, you cannot afford to do it alone. You need to have a mentor. You need to have a sponsor, someone who's got your back, someone who is, able to call you to order, guide you, coach you, somebody who has been there. Michael Jordan has been there. He has done that. I mean, he has a documentary. I forget the name of documentary on Netflix that we cannot catch, right? where he also makes reference to Kobe. Like from a young age, people were always afraid. Like when they say you're going to play with Michael Jordan, people were always afraid because another nickname for Michael Jordan is Black Jesus. And he was like Black Jesus. So people are always afraid, like, oh my God, how can I play with someone I've always looked up to? How can I play with my fave and all of that? But you know, he was ready for it. And we can see in this game a young Kobe playing with Michael Jordan. Now, the emphasis here is the need for you to have a mentor and the need for you to have a sponsor as you go about your career and as you go about anything that you're going to do. There's someone who has gone that path where you want to go to. So why do you have to start over when you can, you know, get examples from these people? And one of his famous quotes that he would always say is to be in the game, you need to study the players. So who are the players in your industry? What is their game like? Can you up your game to beat theirs, or are you just going to let it go? So he had a cordial relationship with Michael Jordan, and it would always go to him. He listened to what people did, he watched what they did, and he would do like they would always do. Another quote that I find very inspiring from Kobe is success would always leave clues for you to follow. Yes, success would always leave clues. That's why he had that Ghost Mountain. So if you look at the life of Bird, you look at the life of Hakim Olajuwon, and you tell yourself, they did this, okay, I can do this. Oh, they failed at this, I should avoid this so that I can become a better person. And you know, when you where you're headed, it will sort of guide some of the decisions that you make because focus brings blindness. Focus helps you see. It helps you in resources management. It helps you also in relationship management because you know who can be my friend, who cannot be my friend, right? And so we see his family here. Kobe was happily married to Vanessa, and they had four lovely daughters, right? Um, as you can see in this picture, um, in watching some of the documentaries that he shot, you know, before he died, he mentioned how his wife has been very supportive. Now, it also means that whatever sphere of influence or mountain top you're going to be at, you cannot afford to make mistake in the person that you marry. You have to marry somebody who is there to support you, someone who will lift you up, someone who will put you up there, someone who's able to manage the home, someone who's able to make everything run. Now, Kobe had a training timeline that they call 666. It means that he will train for 6 months in a year. He will train for 6 days of the week, and he trains for 6 hours every day. Now, imagine that kind of work schedule. And when you have to travel, you have 82 games in a season. So it means he's always on the road, maybe not there for the family, right? Not able to spend quantity time, but able to spend quality time when he can. But he has a spouse who holds the forefront. I know one of the things he said was people are like, oh, so how do you manage to handle your relationship, your marriage, and all of that? Like, how do you do all of those things? And then he said that his wife is as competitive as he is. And what she always tells him is, if you're going to be out this while, you better just win the championship. There's no point going out there and then coming back second. If you don't win, there's no if you don't win. You have to win. And you know, this is a very supportive spirit because knowing that you have a spouse who is very, very encouraging will keep you going. You know that there are some things you are not bothering your head about. There are some things that are not even your concern, right? Because you've got it all figured out with the right spouse. That's why family is very key. Your support system is very key. Another thing Kobe says is that his most important support system is his family. Because whether you lose the game, whether you win the game, whether you shoot a 7 pointer, 5 points, or 6 points, your family would always be there to cheer you up. For some people, your family might not be all of that for you. It might be your friends, right? That's why they say sometimes there's a friend that's to get closer than a brother, right? Like wondering, why is this outsider not even my family? Because my family don't even rate me, right? So once you find that support system, hold them dearly, right? So this is using the life of Kobe to inspire us to know that there's such a thing as living a life of excellence. He didn't live so long, but he lived so well. He made an impact. You know, when he retired from um active professional basketball, one of the things he went on to do was becoming a coach for his daughter's school. And then the next thing he did was he transitioned into becoming a storyteller. So this is saying that sometimes your life will not be so straight and be in one place. There are times where you need to evolve, but what do you even evolve into? Kobe became a storyteller. He started writing his own books, started creating his own movies. Why? Because even when in school, he had a teacher who was interested in him and told him, you can be a good writer. You can use your imagination. All of that didn't make sense. Maybe so far, like really, really key in his career. And now this is me speaking to some of us that have multiple potential lives. So there are some of us that have multiple talents. And like, which one do I start with? Which one do I do? You can take a cue from Kobe, right? He was actively into basketball, which gave him a bulk of the money that he could use to champion the most important things that he would go on to do later on in his life. Because basketball would always come to an end, but then life would remain. And then he was able to create a studio, run into studio. He was able to, use his influence and, everything that he had done for himself to help 90,000 children go to school. Now, this is such an impactful life and still dying in his 40s, and he has done all of this. Now, I just want you to reflect on your life. Some of us are maybe 40 already. Some of us are like in our 30s and we're like, wow, he did this great thing. You can also do that great thing. It doesn't have to be 90,000 children. It could be just one life that would go on to transform the whole world, right? So don't try to do everything at the same time, right? I know is easier, it's not easy to say because I also try to do a lot of things, wear different hats every now and then. But definitely we will find clarity as we go along the way. And once you find that thing that makes you tick, do it all the way and make sure you have a supportive spouse who doesn't cut your dreams short, right? Or make you look small or belittle you because every effort is important, right? And I can assure you that you will have such an amazing life. And he had one thing that worked for him, sort of like a mantra, which you can create for yourself. He calls it the Mamba mentality. So every time, if you really talk to anyone in basketball, they know, oh, Kobe Bryant, oh, Mamba, Black Mamba, Mamba mentality. And this just has to do, for him, Mamba mentality has to do with living a life of excellence in everything that you do, helping people recognize that they can be the best at what they do, but they have to imbibe all of these 7 principles. His work ethic is crazy. His work ethic is intense. So you need to know that you cannot just play average because everyone is training, but not everyone is training 6 hours every day. Not everyone is training 6 days in a week. Not everyone is training 6 days a stretch. Now that's for his own industry, right? What does your industry require? Do you have passion and love for your industry? Are you open to continuous improvement, or you think that yesterday's success is sufficient for tomorrow's glory? No, yesterday is past. Every day you have a chance to win, you have a chance to slay, you have a chance to do better, right? So you always have to give yourself to continuous improvement. You can't say, oh, I had that. For some of us here, you have just BSc. You need to go beyond BSc. It doesn't have to be master's. It doesn't have to be PhD if that's not what it is. That's why you need to do a SWOT analysis. So when people are telling you, oh, why don't you have a master's? You're able to tell them, oh, I don't need that for where I'm headed. What I need are these certifications and I'm on track and I'm getting them, right? So it doesn't look like people are talking you down or like you don't have a plan for your life, right? And then you also have to be fearless. Fearlessness is key because fear would always come. And that's why they say being courageous. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is knowing that you are afraid, but in spite of that feeling and emotion, you keep going. You're going to strive to achieve whatever it is that you are set to achieve. Because a lot of discouragement will come from people who cannot see where you're headed or people who don't understand. They don't hate you. They sincerely care about you, but they are sincerely wrong. And you have to be fearless to keep going that path, right? And this requires mental toughness. So, it looks like I said, oh, all the nice things that Kobe went through in his life, but he also had his times, you know. That's why, like I said, it's also good to start early because there are times where his team depended on him to get the winning shot and he lost it. In basketball, it's called air balls. He aired a lot of balls, right? So don't think, oh, he was just winning, 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 winning. No, the person you should be afraid of the most in life is that person who has never lost. because it means that the person never tried or never did anything that they've never believed that they will not achieve. One of the things that Kobe also mentioned in some of the interviews that he has had was, he said, when you're hiring, what do you look out for? He said he never hires people who says it can be done. He hires people who says, I don't think this can be done, but I'm willing to give it a shot. Now, that's mental toughness, right? Knowing that you play a game, you lost the game, and if you know how basketball is, in the court, everyone is booing you, your fans are throwing stuff at you, they're making negative comments. All of those things alone, knowing that a lot of people are depending on you to win and then you lose, can affect your mental state. Even some of us that are not even celebrating, when somebody throws you on Twitter, you just run away and like, no, that place is not for me, it's not for the faint-hearted. So you can imagine one playing on a global stage, watched by millions of people all over the world. You can imagine some of the comments, because not everyone will like you, right? So you need to have that mental toughness. And besides having a mentor and a sponsor, also Kobe had a therapist, because for some of us, what you're going through in life is very big, very huge, where you're not crazy, but you need a therapist. You need someone to help you with that mental toughness, because he didn't also just get the mental toughness from his family or friends. No, he had to seek help. And his um psychologist was George Monford, and George Monford has helped almost some of the goats you can ever mention in sports. George Mumford is their go-to person for mental toughness, helping them have the right attitude and character always every time they need to play a game, how their mental state should be and what it should be like after the game happens, right? So for some of us, you might require that. Some of us, you might require prayer partner. Okay, sorry about that. You know, network can be fantastic. Okay, so welcome back. I'm just going to reshare my screen. Sorry about that. Um, thank you everyone who has joined so far. I value. So his work ethics, mental toughness. So he needed to have Judge Mumford to assist him with this. And for some of you, you have to identify it maybe sooner or later, but you just have to identify who would help you with mental toughness. If you have money, you can pay for a psychologist or a therapist to help you with it. And he also paid attention to detail. Now, I find this very inspiring because Kobe would always rewatch his games. Now, if you're like me, sometimes I find it very strange to listen to myself, like to hear my voice again. I'm like, no, I want to hear my voice. But really, he would sit down and watch his games, look for areas where he flopped, and make sure it doesn't happen again. He keeps improving. And you know how extensive this can be? Sometimes when they take a break, just the way in football, you have first half, second half. In basketball, you also have halftime. During halftime, he'll quickly ask to watch how he has played so far. I mean, that is some crazy attention to detail. But don't forget, it wasn't like he came with this skill. He also learned it. He learned it from one of his coaches, Tim Grover. So on your journey, you would always need a support system. Besides your family, you need a coach. He had Scott Pippen also to support him. He had Michael Jordan there. He had people. He had Phil Jackson. He had people there. So you really need people to go on this journey. You don't need everybody because we have 7 billion people in the world, but you need people. You definitely need people to be there. You need people to make it every now and then, right? So no man is an island. You need people to survive. You need people to make it in your industry. Next is some of the quotes. So I said, no man is an island. You would always need people on this journey. So don't think, oh, I think I can do it alone. You can't do it alone. And here are some of the amazing Okay, hello everyone. Sorry, our network provider be doing the most. I don't want to mention the network provider. Okay. He also mentioned that to build my games to have no holes. So he means that he always wanted to be the best at everything that he did, right? And he also says that once you know what failure feels like, determination chases success. So in life, you're either running away from something or you're running towards something. So you need to understand what motivates you, right? What keeps you going. It's very important that you understand all of that. Sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, thank God. And another thing is, he said, I never needed any external forces to motivate me because sometimes you would never get validation from the outside. So you need to always find intrinsic motivation, find something within you. How would you feel if you achieve that thing? How would you feel if you do not achieve it? Let the feeling and the joy, the euphoria, the price, let it spoil you, let it keep you going. And like he says, the moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. And I'm sure we don't have losers here because the truth is, they'll tell you, oh, you either win or you learn. Either ways, you're taking your L. Whatever you want the L to mean to you is up to you. So why not just work hard to win? Become better, strive to always give it your best. So food for thought. What is your mountain? Do you even know your mountain? Think about that. Do you have a goat? Now, the reason why these two questions are very important is because success is a long game. It's not a sprint where you just say 100-meter dash. I just run 100-meter boys or 100-meter girls. You know how we do that in school. No, it's for a long time. Are you going to be there for the long haul, or you just want to be a shooting star? Just want to come and go. You don't want to stay long. You don't want to be there for a long time. And so if you do not have a goal, mentors, sponsors, advisors, support system they can always go to, why not take out time this evening before you start a new week tomorrow to create your goat mountain and be like Kobe, visit them, have a conversation with them, learn from their mistakes. What is their obsession? What are their mistakes? What can you leverage to become a better person? Take a trip to your goat mountain, and over time begin to go to the events where you find them, because for some of them you might not be able to go to their offices just to go and meet them, but there's an event and your fave is going to be there, one of your goats is going to be there. Go for that event, network with them, and take it a step further. Practice relationship management, and I can assure you that you'll be grateful that you did. So we want to say a very big thank you to each and every one of you for joining this class. For me, Kobe Bryant still remains inspiring to me. And, we can only pray that God comforts his family, because if we all know he died in that crash with his daughter, which is such a painful thing. And we just pray that God continually comforts his family and that you're able to carry on with the legacies that he has started, with his storytelling, with his merchandising, his legacy, everything that he has started. Now, this is Kobe Bryant, who has just lived for less than 50 years, less than 5 decades. But in his field, he would always be remembered. So I don't know what you want to be remembered for. This has sort of helped me to rethink how I'm going to spend my week, how I'm going to put excellence to my work. Sometimes you can be discouraged and say, but you cannot afford to do the barest minimum, right? You need to do excellent work because it will pay off in the end. Pain is that small voice that tells you, oh, you can't do it, you'll be discouraged. But pain is afraid because it knows that when you keep at it, you will change to become a better person. So I want to congratulate every one of you who joined this call this evening. And I hope that you'll be the best in your field. And I look forward to celebrating you, just like I want to celebrate with me as one of the 1% of the 1% in whatever it is that we desire to lay our hands on. So congratulations again and have a wonderful week. Thank you for joining the class today. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'll be happy to answer. So I want to say thank you. Thank you to everyone who has joined us and to everyone who would watch. Thank you. Can you hear me now? Thank you.